So much, guys. Yeah, H2K's 5th straight win and another loss on the board for ROCCAT coming in this one. How much of that was due to their pick and ban fades, Deficio? What did you identify as good and bad from both teams?
So pick and ban phase, it looked like ROCCAT were about to mess up completely when they had Lissandra, Morgana, and LeBlanc logged in, and we saw the Maokai coming in from H2K, which would have basically been unkillable, but then it got to Tristana, so I feel like they saved the comp somewhat. But in terms of like pure 5-on-5 team fighting, it was so much easier for H2K to play their composition, and I honestly felt like they would outscale them anyway. So once they started winning these fights in the mid game, it was basically over from there.
The whole game based around the 2 dragon fights that we saw, and we're going to come later on that with a replay of the first one. But as Deficio pointed out correctly, the Tristana saved the composition. With a double AP against the Maokai, you do nothing. If you pick like a Corki or a Graves, like who are designed for the mid game, you do nothing against them and you automatically lose the late game. But with the Tristana, if with the right time and the right skill, he could have made it work. So the picks and ban weren't an indicator who's going to win that game.
Yeah, I did. It's already been said. I don't feel like pick and bans are too relevant in the deciding factor of the games. It was really how they played it out.
Then talk me through the early game, because you all had quite a bit to say about the way things played out.
Well, so we had the lane swap obviously coming in, and I have to talk about Vander in this one. I know you want to talk about it as well, but his roaming is not very good. He doesn't really know when to recall. He misses some timings. The first dragon went over to H2K because he recalled too late. Once you hit level 2, just recall. Like, you don't have to stay steal XP for your AD carry. He was almost level 3 by the time he recalled and roamed, and the dragon was already gone. That should not have happened, in my opinion at least. And I feel like it was a problem we saw a few times from him.
Yeah, the early game in lane swaps is generally scripted. There's the correct thing, and then there's a bunch of other things you can do that are incorrect. You're supposed to base on level 2, on support, go buy some wards, drop some down, and then apply some map pressure. And among other things that you're supposed to do in a lane swap, he didn't do any of them. He was often I found myself questioning what is Vander doing on the map, and I feel like that contributed to their loss.
Yeah, with a right recall at level 2 without taking the additional half level, you are actually able to either gank or put pressure on the mid lane and then be able to contest that first dragon. That first dragon went uncontested because Vander was still at the top lane taking half the level in level 2. And that should never happen because those parts of the game, they should be scripted.
Yeah, and ROCCAT actually got a couple of kills, but as you said, their dragon control was lacking throughout the game. We actually have a team fight that we can show you guys because they do have the ability with their team comp and with a flanking Lissandra to make something happen if they want to.
Yeah, so just the fight itself here, it's a bit hard for ROCCAT to set up because they have to walk in through like a choke point, but we can actually just pause it right here in this case, because if you look at Vander and Woolite, they're standing now and only being able to hit Odu Omnis, so we're not going to get any Morgana ultis coming in here. Woolite is not able to have any impact, and you can see Overpower, he's on the other side of the Dragon Wall, he's about to claw over. However, he doesn't have an Hourglass at this point because he went for Morel Nomicon as the first item despite being in a lane swap, and Morel Nomicon is basically a lane item itself. It's better just get like Codex and your cooldown reduction boots and then go straight Outlast if you want to fight. So once he goes in, I mean, you guys can talk about it. What happens when he actually engages at this point?
Yeah, because like, when you think about it, this is mostly a dragon game set from the get-go. Yeah, I rolled the clip. This is a dragon game from the get-go, and if you don't have Hourglass in the spot, you're not going to be very successful on Lissandra. So the ult comes in, ult onto Lulex. The ult should be on himself, and then you can see Ryu, Zoe, and Tristana out of the fight. Tristana has to jump out, and if Tristana's not auto-attacking, she's not being useful. And yeah, there's absolutely nothing there for Woolite to do, and the team was just split up. Like, that's not how you team fight with ROCCAT's team fight comp.
The focus should be on Rio, if you ask me, because in both dragon fights in the deciding moments of the game, we had Rio zoning out the most important parts of their team. The first one, he was completely zoning out the Tristana. Tristana was like able to hit like 5 or 6 auto attack that whole fight while Kalista was doing work in the pit. Kalista totally destroyed the team while the Tristana was zoned away from the Ahri. And in the second dragon fight, where we now don't have a replay of, the Ahri denied the flank of the Lissandra, and with that flag, if that would have happened, the game would have been over, or that fight could have been won.
Yeah, it actually forced Overpower to use his only form of engage, his E. I don't know what the...
Yeah, the Claw of Doom or whatever.
The Claw, yeah. He was forced to use his Claw to escape Ryu, which made the fight a 5v4 on the other side. And you can't use your only form of engage to disengage. That's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, and also for ROCCAT, when you want to play a comp like they're doing here, where you have this double AP, we can call them assassins some way, where they need to blow up a target. Obviously, you don't want the Maokai walking in first, so you need to be able to dive the back line. And in order for you to do that, you got to be there first around the objective. You need to have the walls placed down so you can see how H2K is coming in towards the Dragon area, and then you can pick your targets. But because H2K were there first, it allowed Ryu to get the zoning control, it allowed the Maokai to stand in the front, and suddenly we didn't see any way of actually engaging from ROCCAT's side. Yeah, when you go up to a Dragon, and you know Dragon's spawning, you need like a minute to 2 minutes, like minimum a minute, like minute to 2 minutes to prepare the Dragon. And if you're walking into the Dragon and the enemy has complete vision control allows them to plan out the fight perfectly, and it was just impossible for ROCCAT to win any of those fights without preparing for them.
Yeah. That was it for that one. Thank you very much for joining us. Leviathan is actually sticking around for a bit. Thank you very much, Dentist, for helping us out today. We need to step away for a few minutes, but when we return, Elements and their new support, Crepo, will face Meet Your Makers as they look to avoid another upset and start their climb in the standings. Stay with us.
The other fan is
Go guys, let's do it! They clap for us. They clap for us. For you. They all clap for Ula.
They're gonna get one, get two. That's taken down. Nuke go to one. They get the credit. Lulex now in some trouble as he got the frozen tomb on Woolite, trying to stay alive. Yankos, who's gonna go in, tries to get it down, but the Rend procs, they've got him juked. Lulex though, a little bit low on this one. Who's gonna go down first?
Left, come to me. Okay, nice. You fighting? Nice. Just nice. Nice. Gentlemen. Nice. Nice. Good job, guys.
Odo Wamne tanking up so much, and there is H2K turning on the gas. H2K come up with another victory.